We the lazy declare that we will recline when we feel inclined. And yes, we feel inclined.
We answered our kids' questions all day. It's our time to prioritize, no priorities.
Why?
Because
We put in back-to-back doubles, so now we'll be putting in extra OT right here.
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off our to-don't list.
We the lazy are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our Lazy Boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Chief Meteorologist Denis Phillips. Heat's still the hot topic of weather conversation, right? Just smashed the previous record for rainfall in Tampa. Still a very nice day. We've got some clouds out there, even a couple of sprinkles as another front rolls through the area. Most of us wake up to sunshine and then very warm temperatures in the afternoon. Our temperatures, they're going up and they're staying up. Really nice forecast, especially if you're planning on going to the beach or the pool. Rain chances very slim. Another beautiful day in store. It's going to bring us a very high chance of storms. Isolated showers across the area. Mother Nature likes to remind us that it isn't set by a calendar. We are always on it for you just in case things begin to pop.
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A. This is Denis Phillips Live, sponsored by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Level up your lazy moments. Visit one of our 6 Bay Area showrooms today. Lazy Boy, long live the lazy.
How you doing, everybody? It's a Thursday night edition of Denis Phillips Live. We have some weather to talk about, some rain. I say hi to our folks on Instagram. We've just been streaming live on Instagram for the last few weeks. Quite a few people showing up here, and a lot of people also asking about the possibility of rain for the Billy Joel / Sting concert. Would it be Billy Joel / Sting or Sting / Billy Joel? I guess it depends what your preference is. My wife and her mom are going, and as I expect a lot of other people are going as well. Here's the forecast for that concert. It's going to be cold. It will be clear. It will be a little breezy. It will be cold. So if you're going to the concert, I'm telling you right now, bundle up. I mean, it's not going to be frigid, but it will be cooling into the 50s. And if you're sitting down where, I know there'll be times you'll be sitting down or standing up and whatnot, that's not a really high energy concert. I've seen Billy Joel a lot of times. Great concert, great showman. But, a lot of the songs are actually, more ballads, and there's a little bit, you'll be taking time to sit down. So my point is, I would bring a blanket. I absolutely would. I would wear a heavy coat, wear jeans, the whole 9 yards, and a blanket because it is going to be cold, but it will be dry, all right? So we're going to talk also about the rain that's coming in tomorrow. There's a ton of stuff going on this weekend. You've got the Gasparilla, the Publix Gasparilla Distance Classic, which we are a sponsor. I will actually be live tomorrow over at the convention center, talking to the folks who put on the races and for what people to expect. Even if they haven't registered yet, at least last year, you could still go right up there and register on Friday and into Saturday as well. But again, we got a lot to talk about. I'm also going to talk tonight about the upcoming hurricane season. Now, why 100 days out are we talking about that? Because there's already some issues coming out there. You may have seen it on social media. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what we are looking for in the upcoming season, how the Hurricane Center has changed their advisories. It's not going to start till like mid-August, but there's things that are going to be going on. Before we get into all of that, I do want to give some hellos, because we often do our hellos with our folks who have been here for a while. We've got Marion Lillman. We have Crystal. How you doing? We have Kathy and Hudson. Again, the rain's going to be developing late tomorrow morning into the afternoon and move through. It's not going to rain more than 45 minutes in any given spot, and there will certainly be spots that aren't going to see any rain at all. It's going to be a broken line of rain. It will not be a squall line. There will not be severe weather. You got nothing to worry about. But if you're going out in the afternoon, I think you should probably bring an umbrella. There will be some showers out there. So we have Francis, who has changed his header from Francis to Rossi Auto and RV Mobile Detailing. How you doing, Francis? Good to see you, my friend. We've got Sandy and Lana Lakes. Safety Harbor's in the house. I will be in Safety Harbor on Saturday. The Safety Harbor Seafood Festival is this weekend, and I will be helping to judge some of the seafood goodies. Last year it was crab cakes. I'm not sure what it is this year, but I'll be there on Saturday afternoon with some of my family. My daughter's coming down from Gainesville this weekend to do something with her friends, so I think she's going to come along with us. So anyway, hopefully I will see you, P. Wait for it, Santiago, in Safety Harbor. Stan, how goes it? Marie and Dunellen. We've got Maine is in the house. Leanne in Maine. You know what? A lot of people I know have never been to Maine. I got to get up to Maine. I got to get up there soon because it is gorgeous up there. And I know everybody goes to Bah Harbor, but there's some beautiful, and I've never been whale watching up in Maine. And my wife wants to go whale watching in Maine, so that would be fun. Luis, how you doing? Spring Hill's in the house with Denise. Linda, nice to see you. Spring Hill's in the house with Lori. Homosassa, Karen. Auburndale, Pamela. Newport Richie is here with Linda. So Linda is going to the concert, I'm guessing. That was maybe what you're referencing. Greetings in Brooksville from Terry. Wiki Watchie's in the house with Laura. Homosassa with Peggy. East Lilman. I did not know that Lilman had an east and a west and a north and a south. But Lilman, East Lilman with Cindy. Linda actually is just asking me, what do I think of the new hurricane cone? It's a good idea. And I'll be showing you that coming up in just a minute. So Stephanie wants to know, great weather March 3rd, Port Canaveral to Cozumel. What say you? March 3rd to the 10th. Too early to know for sure. Yeah, too early. We will look at some of the long-range stuff, but too early for you. Robert in Chesterland, Ohio. Spring Hill with Ann. We've got the Harvard crawfish. Oh, where did it go? It disappeared. My screen just jumped. Doggone it. Oh, because all these highs just came in, and I missed where the crawfish boil is going to be. Now, that is disturbing, because having lived in Baton Rouge for a couple of years and having worked, when I was in college, I worked at a bridge. I was a laborer building a bridge across the Mississippi River. And it was, we used to have crawfish boils after concrete pours. And man, and there is a certain way that you eat a crawfish if you are a true Cajun. You suck out the eyeballs. It's a true story. That is what a true Cajun does. You don't just eat the tail, you suck the eyeballs out. And I did not do that, but that is what the true Cajuns did. We've got lots of hellos here, so let's go ahead and jump into it because we do have lots of. So Rick says, shout out to Gasper Golf. All right, Rick, I see that. Boy, I want to know where that crawfish boil was. We've got Sheila from Florida. So you could be a little more specific, Sheila. Feel free. Zephyr Hills is in the house. We've got Dunlap, Tennessee with Jeff. So anyway, lots of folks here. Stephanie, no, it is Thursday. And Laura, no, do not sleep very often. But this is the time to do it because hurricane season, there's not a lot of sleep. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the forecast with the rain that's coming in. Right off the bat, I am rather shocked. I am flabbergasted, as a matter of fact, that the drought condition map really doesn't look any different from last week. That really surprises me. After 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, I really expected that we were going to see in fact, I thought we would see abnormally dry and the drought conditions would be gone entirely. But that is incorrect because the new drought numbers came out today and they look pretty much identical to last week. So I don't know if they just didn't change it or we really didn't make any improvements. But to me, I find it very difficult to believe that we did not have any improvements. That seems really unlikely to me. But nevertheless, we have headed in the right direction. Regardless of whether you're seeing an extreme or a moderate drought or dry wherever you are, we all know that the rain last week certainly helped us out, regardless of what it says. But I'm kind of shocked. Mallory wants to know about rain next weekend. We will look at that. Hang in here. Elizabeth in Palm Harbor, how goes it? Molly in Spring Hill. I promise you in the next 20 minutes, you will have everything you need to know about the extended forecast as well as a look at the hurricane season. And you know I don't buy long-range hurricane predictions, but there are some things going on out right now that I think should at least be noted as we prepare for the upcoming season. Temperatures right now, 50s to lower 60s. What a gorgeous day today. It was beautiful. I mean, it started out cold again, 30s, down around freezing, patchy frost, Hernando and Citrus and even Pasco. But boy, what a nice day. Dale in Sarasota, how goes it? So right now, East Lake 60, Palm Harbor 60, Clearwater 57, Largo 60, St. Pete 63, Brandon 62, Sun City Center 60. Look at the lows this morning. We started up, the Caps are up 2-0, by the way. I am watching the game on ESPN. I will tell you a story coming up in a minute. It is my proudest moment as a father. And I have 6 kids, and I will tell you that story in just a second. All right, 30s to mid-40s, Brooksville 33, Inverness 34, Zephyr Hills 34. That was this morning. Tomorrow morning, about 10 degrees warmer. Not nearly as cold tomorrow morning as it was this morning. And highs today, we were up near 80. Hit 79 in Plant City, 76 in Zephyr Hills, 71 in Tampa. Oh, by the way, tonight is Treat Night here at ABC Action News as well. Treat Night is a tradition that has been running for 30 years here. Our station started, well, actually, WFTS had a station prior to 1994, but it had no news. It was like an independent station that just ran whatever and no news. So my boss in Los Angeles, I was working in LA at KCBS, and my boss in LA took a job here in Tampa to start a news operation, and he asked me if I wanted to leave LA and come to Tampa to do the weather. And I had worked in Gainesville. I loved Florida weather. LA weather was boring. Half the weather was the smog forecast, and you got a minute and a half to do the weather. I hated it. So I wanted to come back to where there was real weather. So I left Los Angeles. My boss in LA took me from LA and brought me here to Tampa, and we've been here ever since. And from that first day, there was a treat night every Thursday. Now, I was the morning guy for the first 6 or 7 years. Wayne Shattuck was our chief. I was the morning guy. So I did not take part in treat night, but it started with Marty Tucker, Brendan McLaughlin, Drew Soysher was the sports guy, and Wayne Shattuck was the chief meteorologist, and that's how the tradition started. And while it is running on hard times, I will be honest, we've got a kind of a skeleton crew at night sometimes, but we are trying to keep the tradition up and running because I'm all about traditions, as you guys know, with my Christmas decorations and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I digress yet again. So there's a look at the satellite picture. It's been beautiful all day long. Wedding at 4 o'clock tomorrow, Cheryl. Yeah, I'll show you Futurecast coming up here, but there's going to be some rain. I mean, it's only going to rain for a half hour, but there's going to be some rain. Kathy in Largo, how you doing? Mark in Indian Rocks, my man. Are you going to be at the Rule Number 7 debut? Couple of things, Mark. We always do it Memorial Day weekend over the Crooked Thumb. We have the Rule Number 7 beer debut. Hopefully you'll be there. And are you going to opening day? Because I think you usually do. I'm actually going to opening day. I bought $10 nosebleed seats for me and the kids. So we are going to opening day for the Rays, even though we will be up way up top. But you know what? I don't care because you're there. It doesn't matter how great the seats are or what you want to pay for them. If you're there, you're there, right? Okay. Kim in Winter Haven, how goes it? All right, Futurecast, here we go. Asking about the rain tomorrow. That 4 o'clock wedding makes me a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. Makes me a little nervous. Not the wedding, the weather for the wedding. So in the morning, there might be a prefrontal area of rain across Citrus, but probably not. The main area of rain comes in with the front in the afternoon. So there's 1 o'clock. There's 2 o'clock. There's 3 o'clock. There's 4 o'clock. I think this might be a little slow. Truth be told, I think it might come in a little faster, but there's where we are right now. There's 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock. 7. So between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, it moves to the metro area. So if you're in the Pinellas Beach where your wedding is, yeah, there's a chance of rain. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I really do. But I do think there is a chance of some rain in the afternoon. It's going to last 45 minutes tops. And then there's 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock. All right, there it is. So there it is again. If you missed it the first time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Now let's look at the high resolution and see if it shows the same thing. It doesn't go out that far, but it does look like that's about the same to me. How much rain are we talking? Not a lot, but if it's over a wedding, that stinks. So, Vicky, oh yeah, there'll be lots of squirrels today because I got lots of discussions, lots of stories. You know me, I'm a story guy. It is only going to rain on Friday. No rain on Saturday. No rain on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Temperatures, tomorrow morning, not nearly as cold. 40s and 50s to even middle 60s along the coast. Afternoon highs out ahead of that front, it's going to be upper 70s to near 80 degrees. It's actually going to be a really nice afternoon up until the rain arrives. Okay? And then Saturday morning, the front comes through and it gets chilly again. So I'll say this again. It's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday. It's just going to be chilly with highs in the 60s and kind of breezy. Saturday night, it is going to be clear, but it's going to be chilly for the Billy Joel. I'm going to say the Billy Joel / Sting concert because I think more people are going to see Billy Joel than Sting. This is my opinion. So you're going to see in the 50s to low 60s. So not frigid, but cold enough with a wind sitting out in the middle of an open stadium. I think it's going to be chilly. I'm telling you, I would wear heavy clothes and I would bring a blanket. And then it gets much colder overnight. Yeah, Dale, I've heard that too. I don't know if I buy the whole rain is lucky on a wedding thing. I think that's just people trying to make themselves feel better because it rained on their wedding day. All right, so there's a look at the rain. There it is on Friday. Saturday, it will not rain in our area. The rain will have pushed through by early morning, maybe Fort Myers area. Sunday and Monday look great. Look at the temperatures. Tomorrow will be warm up until that front gets here and the rain, upper 70s. Upper 60s to low 70s on Saturday and Sunday. Again, I will be helping to judge the Seafood Festival in Safety Harbor Saturday. Hope you stop by. You've got spring training games. You've got the Publix Gasparilla Distance Classic on Saturday. You've got the Billy Joel / Sting concert on Saturday. It will be clear. It will be breezy. It will be cool. Following weekend, people, Jamia is asking, all right, how windy in Zephyr Hills? Probably about 10 to 15, maybe gusting to 20. Southwest winds tomorrow, pretty windy out ahead of the front, 15 to 20 knots, seas 2 to 5 feet, choppy on bay and inland waters. Water temperature 65 degrees. Your sunrise tomorrow morning. Daylight saving times in a couple weeks, by the way, where we lose an hour sleep, gain an hour sunshine. So it'll be darker in the morning again, lighter in the evening. Beach forecast, not bad in the morning, kind of breezy. And then the rain, unfortunately, for that beach wedding. It pains me to say this. It pains me to say this. But yes. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, I think it's going to rain mid to late afternoon at the beach. I'm sorry. Don't shoot the messenger. All right, clear tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow morning. And some clouds in the afternoon with scattered showers. But you know what? There is a chance it will not rain where you are at your wedding. There absolutely is a chance. This will not be a solid line of rain, and I don't expect any storms. Okay? And for Northeast Florida, same thing. I would not worry about storms. All right? There's the 7-day. Now let's talk about the long-range forecast, because people were asking about that as well. Okay? So, let's jump over to tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. There's your 540 line. That's the freezing line. The blue line where it says 540, that is your freezing line. So chilly. All right? There is Sunday morning. 540 line still hanging in North Carolina. There's Monday morning. Starts to retreat northward. Tuesday morning, beautiful weather Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, another front possibly. And that front may stall out. So that is something that we'll have to look at. The GFS is unsure. But yeah, then you get the little wave of development. Now, hold on. Okay. Before we go off on this, all right? The GFS is notorious. No, forget the GFS. All models are notoriously bad for the wedding is in Venice. Oh, I think you'll be, what time? 4 o'clock? If the wedding is at Venice at 4 o'clock, you're going to be okay. Stepping on that limb. The wedding is at 4 o'clock at Venice, you're going to be okay. That's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. Okay? All right. So, all models are notorious, but the GFS even more so, of over-exaggerating development of low pressure or rain past 10 days, which this is doing. But it does look to me toward next weekend, if this front were to stall out, then you get a little wave of low pressure develop along it and then increase the rain chances, because that's happened all El Nino winter. So the answer to your question is it's too early to really know for sure, but I do think that there could be some potential of additional development toward next weekend. But let's look at it right now. Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, front stalls out, Saturday morning, and then the front kind of lingers with the potential of some development along it. That would be the early part of the following week. Again, I wouldn't lose any sleep over what the GFS is trying to do, because it's doing what the GFS does. Nonsense down the road. But I will repeat, with a stalled out front, there is always the possibility of cyclogenesis, low pressure developing out of the Gulf, riding along it and increasing rain chances. Next Saturday, well, here's next Saturday. So, and next Saturday, I'm emceeing the Gasparilla Festival of Arts at Julian B. Lane Park. It's one of my favorite events that I do all year. It's Saturday and Sunday, and I'll be there, and I hope the weather cooperates. A stalled out front could make it a little dicey, but at this point, we'll just have to see how it plays out. Now, the Euro is not showing the same thing. So in an El Nino, I'm less likely to just blow it off and say it's going to be sunny, but we'll just have to see again how things play out. All right? That's next weekend. It's 9 days out. It's just too early to tell. Sometimes 9 hours out is too early to tell, right? We all know that. All right, I do want to mention this. There's your rainfall potential. Not a lot, nothing to worry about, okay? And above average rainfall through May. That is the thing that, while El Nino will start to wane in April and May, we still, I think, could be front-loaded for rain in the first half of that 90-day stretch. All right, here is what people have been talking about from the new stuff from the Hurricane Center. Mid-August, they're going to start issuing new advisories that are going to include inland areas. What time will the rain be coming tomorrow, Justin? In Brooksville, probably between 2 and 3. Okay? So why are we talking hurricane season? I don't know, because people are talking about it online, and I always feel like if I'm going to see it online, I want you to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And I believe that at this point in time, the tropical Atlantic is obscenely warm. All right? It's as warm now in the tropical Atlantic as it is in July. All right? So right off the bat, you have more fuel out in the tropical Atlantic. All right, so that's one strike against us, or against the hurricane season. Not us, but development, all right? Second, the water is extremely cold around Florida. So that would mean less likely closer to home development until we see a significant change in that. So maybe that could mean limiting the early season development for the Gulf close to us. But in the Caribbean, where it often can develop in May, but usually it's the Gulf, kind of a mixed message. Very, very warm in the tropical Atlantic, not warm at all around Florida. You know how I feel again about long-range forecasts. A waste of time. But as we transition from an El Nino to a neutral to La Nina over the next 6 months, conditions would become more favorable for development in a La Nina, and we'd be entering that in September and October, ballpark timeframe. So what you're looking at is in the tropical Atlantic, which is in the peak of the hurricane season, you're looking at a very warm Atlantic, more than likely, and less active trade winds because of an El Nino. So theoretically, you should see more development. Now, does that mean that's a greater increase to Florida? It does not. To quote Marissa Tomei and my cousin Vinny, it does not. It might mean more development, but the track it all depends on the positioning of the Bermuda High is. If these all curve out in the open waters of the Atlantic, like a lot of them did this last year, who cares, right? So my point of this is don't get fired up or don't get nervous about reading about these, well, the water is really warm, warmer than it's ever been. And yeah, okay, fine. That's one piece of the puzzle. All right? Last year we had an El Nino and we had a gazillion storms develop. So what does that tell you? No matter what those markers may or may not show, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play out that way. Now, unfortunately, the water was really warm last summer, and that offset the negative features, which was an El Nino. If the water's even warmer, yeah, you would have to assume there will be more development. But that does not necessarily mean a greater risk to Florida, at least to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, when you're in an El Nino, the Caribbean is shut down for development. And last year, that was the case. We all know our biggest concern in any tropical system is a Caribbean developing system that comes up through the straits and heads toward Florida. More so than a storm that goes to the Florida Straits from the Atlantic, because that's harder for it to take a hard hook like that. It's a lot easier for a storm to come in from the south and veer to the right, as opposed to come in from the east and pull a U-ey, right? So my point is, as you're going to hear a lot of this buzz and the long-range predictions are going to start, and I guarantee you they're going to be above average, and you're going to hear people talking more about we should have a Cat 6 because of the, look, you've been going through this long enough, and if you've been here with me, you know I am not going to get caught up in all this nonsense. Because just because there's a higher risk of development does not mean there's a higher risk of impact on Florida. Statistically speaking, a much more active season for the Bay Area directly, the numbers or the possibility of us being impacted directly is negligible with an active or an inactive season. Statistically speaking, there's not much difference. It's where they are developing and how they're coming toward the area. So that's something we'll talk more about, but I did want to reference it because the NHC is issuing new advisories, which will include inland areas. So it won't just be coastal areas. They will be addressing a wind field on how it impacts people away from the coast. And that's great news because more often than not, our friends in Polk County get pummeled by wind and they're not under a hurricane warning. They might be under an inland hurricane warning, but you know what I'm saying? There's going to be more talk about wind impact inland and not just along the coast. And I think that's very, very important. Okay? So there you go. That's about it, guys. So tonight, clear, chilly. Tomorrow, chilly, but not as cold as this morning, right? Tomorrow afternoon, rain rolls in from north to south, 45 minutes to an hour max, no biggie. Don't expect anything more than maybe a rumble of thunder in a couple of spots. The line breaks up. It gets much cooler over the weekend, but it will be sunny for all your outdoor functions. If you're watching on our streaming app, thanks for watching. Have a great night and have a great weekend. If you're watching on Facebook, I can still answer a few questions now. And what is the score in the Bolts game? The last I saw was 2-0. I wasn't looking. Jules, how you doing? Yes, and it isn't, and here's the thing. It isn't that we ignore the risk of a hurricane or a tropical system. We don't do that at all. But I've said this a million times. Look, there's a worst case scenario, a best case scenario, and a worst case scenario. And what I get sick of is people harping the worst case scenario all the time. That drives me ballistic. Because, newsflash, it's no more likely that you're going to have a worst case or a best case. I mean, usually we all know life is somewhere in between. Not always, but the majority of the time. So when we're looking at something down the road, why do people harp on the worst case? Is it to prepare people? I say no. I don't think they're trying to prepare people. I just think they're trying to be relevant. And some people like to deal in fear. But look, you're not preparing anybody. Here's my take. If you tell somebody 50 times that the worst case scenario is going to happen and 49 times it doesn't, and the 50th time it does, it's the Chicken Little syndrome. Are they going to believe you when you go? I mean, there's going to be some people who want to hear the worst case scenario all the time because that's just who they are. And they're like, oh, I'm going to be more prepared if I hear it over. No, in my opinion, and this is the way I handle things, I'm going to give you what I think is going to happen. And if that means I don't think it's going to hit a certain area and the other people are saying it is because the models are saying it is, oh, by the way, models are just a mathematical formula. There's a lot of experience that comes into play along with it. So my point is, and you guys know this fires me up, why focus on worst case scenario and scare the bejesus out of people when they're already scared if a storm's coming? And if you tell people over and over again, because I know there are some out there that are always going to focus on that worst model data, and they're going to say, well, it might be this, but here's what, if you see the worst case over and over again, that's going to be driven home into your psyche, and you're going to think it's going to happen. Why do it? If you're going to be that way, show the best case scenario, because that's not as fun. I mean, that's the reality of it for some people. That's just not as fun. So I'll say it again. During hurricane season, you're going to hear what I think is going to happen. And when I say rule number 7, it isn't that it's magically going to miss us, but it certainly is a reminder that don't focus on the worst case scenario all the time, because the majority of the time it doesn't play out that way. And if it is going to be a bad situation, then rest assured, you want to have your head screwed on straight and not be freaking out to make decisions that you're going to need to make to keep your family safe. Simple as that. So if it comes to a situation where we're looking at a Cat 3 or greater coming this way within 36 hours, that is not the time to freak out. That's the time to be like, all right, here's what we have to do. We planned, we know what we're going to do, and we're going to think it through. And that's our best case scenario. That's my hope. I get it. There's going to be people in line at Home Depot and at Lowe's because a lot of people wait till the end. I totally get that. I'm a procrastinator myself in a lot of stuff. But some people get mad. Oh, you're giving people a false sense of security. You know what? No. But what I'm not doing is giving people the worst case scenario all the time. And oh, by the way, if you look at the Bay Area's history, knocking on wood here, look, is it safe to say that we are not in a major hurricane prone area in Central Florida? Yeah, you can make that argument. It's been 100 years since we've had a major hurricane hit the Bay Area. Now, are we going to get one? Yeah, we absolutely, we all know we will. But don't sit here and say, oh, you know, it's irresponsible to tell people we're going to be okay, because the majority of the time, we're going to be okay. For a lot of meteorological and climatological reasons, we are not in a zone where it's likely that a major hurricane is going to hit us directly. We've told you a million times why. A storm coming in from the south is our worst case scenario. That storm will want to go north. It's driven to go toward the poles. What's going to curve that to the right into our area to make it a threat? A trough or an area of low pressure or a frontal boundary. How many troughs and lows do we get in July and August? Not a lot. September and October, we get them a little bit more. So the propensity is for a storm to go north. Will we see some? Yeah, of course we do. The Panhandle has a much higher risk than Central Florida does, but they're going to happen from time to time. But the angle in which they come in, the entire west coast of Florida would be under a risk. So that's why the margin of error with those cones is always on the entire west coast of Florida, and sometimes including on the east coast as well, because you're coming in at such an angle that it could go either way. Irma was a perfect example of that. So, you know, there is a seafood festival in Safety Harbor, and I am going to be there, Frankie. That is correct. Yes. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but I just want to remind people, as you start seeing stuff every year, it's earlier and earlier, you know, just pick your sources. That's all. And if, you know, and there's some people that say they want to be overly prepared, and there's nothing wrong with showing the worst case scenario every time, so they're ready. You know what? If that's good for you, awesome. It's not good for me. I don't like to give worst case. I like to give what I think is a more realistic view. And in our area, that more realistic view, 9 times out of 10, is it's not going to hit us as hard as the models are saying 8 days out and 5 days out. But when it happens, and it's not if, it's when, we all know at some point we are going to see that. When it does, you will hear an honest representation of what's going to happen. You're not going to hear me saying, oh, it's going to miss us just because it's magical, the Indian burial grounds and rule number 7. No. But what I'm trying to do is get everybody to prepare themselves in a way where they'll make a decision to keep their family safe, whether they're riding something out or whether they're evacuating. And if you evacuate, you know darn well you better do it 36 hours out, because if you get on the road between 36 and 24 hours, you ain't ever going to get there. You're going to be stuck in traffic. We've seen it happen over and over again. So when you start making your plans for this upcoming season, the number one plan should be, if you're going to get out of town, and by the way, that's usually just for people along the coast. If you live within 5 miles of the beach, east of the beach, you're probably going to stay put. But if you're in an evacuation zone and you're going to evacuate, you got to get out well over 36 hours out. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. It's not worth the risk. It really isn't. All right. So I guess that is about it. You guys have, what is the score in the game? Still 2-0 Caps. You guys have a great night. I'll be live tomorrow at the Convention Center for the Publix Gasparilla Distance Classic. I will be live at Safety Harbor on Saturday for the Seafood Festival. My daughter has a softball tournament on Sunday. I don't know what, actually, might be in Dunedin. And then next week, Greg D is on a Star Trek cruise right now. How awesome is that? Greg D is a Trekkie, and he is on a Star Trek cruise that he's going to be on through next week. So Shay is in for him in the mornings, and I'm working the long shift in the afternoon from 3 to 11:30. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on our next edition of Denis Phillips Live. Have a great weekend, guys.
We the lazy declare that we will recline when we feel inclined. And yes, we feel inclined.
We answered our kids' questions all day. It's our time to prioritize, no priorities.
Why?
Because
We put in back-to-back doubles. So now we'll be putting in extra OT right here.
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off our to-don't list.
We the lazy are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our lazy boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.